When most people think of branding, they think of just a logo. But a powerful brand identity goes way beyond a nice symbol. It's in the shapes you use, the textures people feel, the way things move, the tone of your materials, and even how it sounds. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to be talking about visual brand language and how these subtle design decisions make a brand feel recognizable without focusing on just the logo. Think of it as the personality of your brand that's translated into a full design ecosystem. And to make it concrete, I'm going to be walking you through real-life examples in the world so you can apply this to your brand as well. So first, we have to understand what is visual brand language. And I see it as a system of consistent design elements that reflect the brand's personality. And these elements could be shapes, they could be soft, sharp, angular or rounded, colors and textures, materials and finishes, layout and spacing, motion, how things animate or behave or interact with each other, and even sound, if your brand lives in digital or physical spaces. It's what makes a product or space feel like the brand without relying on the logo. Think about walking into a store before you even see a single product label. The materials, the lighting, the spacing between displays, the textures you touch, all of these small, consistent cues tell you whose world you stepped in. And the power of this is twofold. It builds memory and recognition. And humans are wired to pick up on patterns. Even if somebody can't consciously remember your colors or fonts, your brain automatically is cataloging all the different types of shapes you're using in your brand, the array of colors, the type of text, and the type of fonts that are seen in your maybe social media post or website. And it's basically collecting all the rhythms you repeat. And over time, these cues become shortcuts in the brain and they form instant association. And when that visual and sensory language is used across different touch points, like your website, social media, store interiors, uniform design, and even packaging, it starts to feel familiar. And familiarity is a huge trust signal. It's what turns a brand from just another option into the one I think of first. And with repetitive and enough exposure, that familiarity graduates into something bigger, the icon status. Think of it as a difference between recognizing a person just by their face as opposed to recognizing a person because of what they wear, how they carry themselves, or the tone of their voice. And so bringing it back to branding, logos are the face of your brand. But your visual brand language is how people can spot you in a crowd. Now we have to understand why this matters. In today's ever-growing market, there are just more and more logos coming out, and it's getting a bit suffocating. Logos are just not cutting it anymore. And consumers are more design savvy than ever, especially with AI and all the different design platforms that are out there. They scroll past hundreds and sometimes thousands of visual stimuli every single day. And they're not sitting there consciously dissecting what they like, but they feel when a brand is cohesive and well put together. And this is especially critical for wellness, lifestyle, and fashion brands, where aesthetic and sensory experiences are not just nice to haves, they're the product. And especially in these categories, how your brand looks and feels and even moves through a space influences if people are going to buy from you or not. It's as important as the product itself. And when a brand's visual is done right, it creates emotional consistency. Your audience knows what to expect even before seeing the logo. It signals trust, it shows attention to detail, and most importantly, it sends an unspoken message. This brand understands me. And that sense of recognition is what makes people come back to your brand over and over again and pick your brand over competitors. So let's take a few brands that have mastered this. Let's start with Byredo, which focuses on sensory minimalism. Known for their fragrances, what sets the brand apart isn't only their scent, but it's how they design an entire brand universe around their product. Their packaging uses minimalist black and white tones with generous white space, and their typography is intentionally simple but oversized and elegant. Their bottle shapes are rounded and consistently curved and weighted with the black rounded cap. And even their campaigns carry a visual restraint with wash tones, slow motion, and high gloss textures. So you know it's Byredo before you even read the name just through their shapes. Then let's talk about Uniqlo, where function meets form. Their entire identity is built around utility, simplicity, and thoughtful basics. And you see this reflected everywhere, not just their clothing. Store layouts are grid-like and structured, mimicking their product ethos, and product shots are flat lay, practical, and clear, making it easy for anyone to browse their collections. The fonts they use are neutral and clear-cut, with their famous red accents adding just the right amount of unique brand touch, and even their brand mirrors their design language. It's intuitive, unembellished, and efficient. Uniqlo's visual language reinforces their core message. Simple, functional design for everyone. It's just clean, consistent expression. So how do you build a brand visual language? How can you apply all of this to your brand? And I would start with these 5 points. Number 1 is start with your brand personality. And the easiest way to do this is to go into Google and type a collection of keywords and then identify all these different things like, are you playful or serious, feminine or bold, grounded or experimental? And define this first because it's the lens for everything else. Then number 2 is choose your foundational shapes. Curves create softness and approachability. Angular forms feel techy or space-like. Grids feel orderly and disciplined. And organic shapes feel human and warm. And because now you've understood what your brand personality is, it's going to be able to help you choose what shapes suit your brand. Then number 3 is build a consistent visual system. Choose 2 to 3 core fonts for headings, subtitles, and body text, and then create a primary and secondary color palette. Then you want to define the textures you use in your brand, borders, containers, and these things matter more than you think. Then number 4 is create application rules, and these are usually found in a brand guideline PDF. How do you use these elements across packaging and social media and websites and so on? And finally, number 5 is test it out in the real world. Implement your system on packaging, on signages, on your website, on Instagram. Does it feel consistent and recognizable without the logo? Because that is the true test. A great way to think about this is when a brand has a clear visual language and it becomes more than just a logo, it becomes a brand world. And whether you're designing a wellness brand, a fashion label, or even a tech product, this is what builds a lasting presence. And if you're somebody who wants to build an extensive brand identity with a brand visual language, you can work with me. You can book a free call using the link in the YouTube description below, and we can discuss how we can work together. And as always, if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.